It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at U-Like, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ulike.com. U-Like. With Ease US, make studio-quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high-quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional-grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Just use AmpPace.
AmpPace.
It is the Pete Sousa Show. We are getting up and running here. We are live in Waco, Texas, downtown in the Alico building. From Waco, Texas, from Central Texas to the world. That's the idea, right? And who would have ever thought, right? Who would have ever thought? The Pete Sousa Show, of course, we're talking NBA draft this morning. And we're also going to be talking the most, as I see it, and I'll tell him this to his face, Shahan Jeyarajah from CBS Sports is going to join us, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about the most important story that has been authored this college football offseason. And oh, by the way, hint, hint, Shahan Jeyarajah is the author. And he did a story about Texas Tech that all you have to do if you're a college football fan, check out your social media. It has been retweeted or tweeted to you, or the algorithm has pushed it in front of you because the algorithm knows what you want to see in this instance. And it is really interesting, the boom that Texas Tech has made this offseason, the way that they've done it, who they've done it with, and the finite amount of time that it could be impactful, all this offseason movement. And we're going to talk to Shehan about that. Just an amazing story. It's got like the program meets Landman meets Dynasty. It's like I'm there for this thing, okay? So looking forward to talking to Shehan here in a couple moments. NBA draft, look, I'm going to make a quick statement here, all right? And I'm not trying to be too out of pocket, I guess is a term, or too like hot takey. I would go right now. The Dallas Mavericks are plus 2,000 on FanDuel to win the Western Conference. I would go right now and take my chances. I just might, okay? And here is why. This morning, Mavericks fans, what a day. And here's why it's a great day. And I know we get uptight about all of the clickbaity stuff and First Take and, okay, there's that, they call it like a font or a chyron at the bottom of the screen that's going to make you watch or turn the volume up because it's kind of crazy, right? This morning I woke up and I was getting ready for the show. I have ESPN on in the background, which is probably a problem, right, sometimes when it comes to like First Take and stuff. But I've gone on the record. I love Stephen A. Smith, and Scotty gives me a hard time. I say he's a journalist, whatever. Stephen A. wasn't even on this morning, which, by the way, the show was a little flat without him. But I digress. The chyron at the bottom of the screen was, are Mavs emerging as threat to Thunder, right? So there you go. Look, and I'll say this. I will just say this. Hold on, Scotty. We are removed. Remember now, I think it was February or January 31st or so, February. This is how I count, by the way. February, March, April, May, June. 5 months ago, right? I think that's right. February, March, April, May, June. Five months ago, right? It's that Richmond Education football scholarship. Thank you. 5 months ago that the Luka trade was made and the organization was the biggest dumpster fire in professional sports. 4 months ago, I said on this show, doing it from Lubbock, actually, because I was there for a basketball game to call, and talked about how the Mavs were seriously putting together like a major league effort to move the team to Vegas, right? We had some fun with that. They were like, let's tank, and the way to tank is to trade Luka. Everybody's hurt. AD's sitting out. Let's move the team to Vegas or Seattle or whatever. Now, that's all nonsense, right? The Mavs this morning are at the top of the fold all over the country, because when you look at the Mavs roster, by the way, and Scotty, hang on. When you look at the Mavs roster, you've got Anthony Davis, right? Hobbled, but he'll be back. Kyrie, right? Kyrie Irving. 2 future Hall of Famers, by the way. Kyrie will be back by January. Okay, P.J. Washington, Daniel Gafford, Klay Thompson still in the mix. And oh, by the way, with Kyrie signing that new contract, $119 million over 3 years, it leaves the way for that mid-level exception. Scotty's got his arms folded. Scotty, can you bring yourself up on camera? It leaves hold on 1 second before you do.
I was going to say, you told me to hold my horses.
Hold on. It leaves for that mid-level exception to be used to sign a scoring guard. Now, I should say the Pete Sousa Show is presented by Slovacics. Thank you to Crawford Austin Properties, Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, Socorro Family Ford, the whole big family here at Rogue Media. We are loving it. Okay, so Scotty, tell me what you were going to say.
I'm going to start calling you. Let me unmute my microphone. I'm going to start calling you Prisoner Pete. Prisoner Pete.
Prisoner of the moment.
You are a prisoner of the moment, my friend. Last freaking week, the Thunder win the NBA, and you're talking about a dynasty. And this morning, by the way, we have known for a month the Dallas Mavericks were going to draft Cooper Flag today.
Yes.
This is not new insights that you have this morning. But because it happened last night, now the Mavericks, you should put some money on them to win the Western Conference. So much for the Thunder dynasty, I guess. Not to mention that the best player in the NBA still plays for L.A., and if you don't think that's him, then the best player in the NBA plays for Denver. So not to mention that you just said we should rely on a big man made of glass and a getting older Kyrie Irving coming off an ACL injury. Let's talk to Robert Griffin III about what happens when you injure your knee multiple times and what it can do to your career. I'm not optimistic.
Okay,
but
well,
I hope Cooper Flagg is that dude. Like,
there is
good luck,
reason. Here's the
Dallas
deal.
fans.
There is reason. There is great reason for hope now in the Metroplex. And 5 months ago, there was no hope. Really.
That's true.
The organization, people were revolting against this organization, yourself included, and you still are revolting.
I hate them.
Right? Christy, my lovely fiance, is I'm with Scotty. I'm like, what do you mean you're with Scotty? You're with me.
Christy!
Yeah. Well, she said that again last night. I'm with Scotty. I'm not watching. I don't care.
We're going to gang up on Pete this weekend.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, exactly. But so that's my whole point is the world continues to turn. And if you watch that draft party last night, there were 5,000 people at American Airlines Arena, and they weren't trying to burn the place down, which is exactly where we were months ago. Michael Wilbon even said, if these guys are healthy, this is a team that can compete with the Thunder. Now, I know it's a long shot. And, yeah, part of this is having fun, right? It's a bit of a caricature because that's what we do. That's why sports is awesome, you know? We react to this stuff. But when you really look at the Mavs roster and you take a long, hard look at it and you say, okay, there really is something to work with here.
Yeah,
there truly is. And with Cooper Flagg, and Cooper Flagg, by the way, and it's very real this morning because he was drafted, but he has an opportunity now to become a very good player because of his surroundings, the minimal amount of pressure on him going into the season, or I would say the limited amount, not minimal, but less than it would be if he was a first pick, you know, the number one pick for, I don't know, a team that had gone, 10-72. So there's a lot of optimism around this whole situation. And the reason it's noteworthy is because we were ready to burn the place down 5 months ago, or 4 months ago, you could say.
It is a great story. That's why there are conspiracy theories that the NBA did this on purpose, right? Like,
they didn't.
Neither of us believe that,
Yeah.
but those stories exist because it's a great story.
Yeah.
So you fit the nail on the head. It's a crazy 5 month story.
Yeah.
However, you want to talk about a city that is exhausted by hope?
Yeah.
Talk to Dallas fans. Mostly because of the football team up there. But Dallas fans, more than maybe most, I won't say any other fan base, most fan bases in America have had very high hopes shattered many times by that football team and by that basketball team. Remember the Mavericks, before they won the title, was it 2007 or 6 that they lost in the first round for the first time ever?
Yeah.
A 1 seed lost to the 8 seed Golden State Warriors.
But we believe Warriors.
Yeah. So like this is a city that will turn on you again very quickly if those hopes aren't realized. And I'm just saying there's a lot of ifs associated with these hopes.
By the way,
if Cooper Flagg lives up to expectations, if a guy whose literal nickname is Street Clothes can play some games.
That's your nickname.
That is. Google it right now. Google it. I dare you. Google
I'm not
what
Googling
is Anthony
it.
Davis' nickname?
I'll take your word for it.
His nickname is Street Clothes. If Kyrie can return from the ACL and be 80% of the player he was before, if Klay Thompson can keep playing at a high, there's a lot.
By the way, if I'm a
ifs.
prisoner,
if Jason Kidd stays,
if I'm a prisoner of the moment, you call me Prisoner Pete. Most people call me Positive Pete, by the way. But if I'm a prisoner,
you are being both, to be clear.
If I'm a prisoner of the moment, then you know what? You've got your toxic Twitter timeline. This guy shares tweets with me, by the way. Somebody on,
because I love you.
Somebody, by the way. No, hold on. Somebody who, by the way, I end up following because that's how dumb I am. I'm the same guy who, in his 40s, I didn't mean to shave this morning, but I did. I don't know how that happened. Like the clippers are too short, but I shaved the whole thing's gone. So that happened, right? So just a window into how.
What happens when you turn 40? You just suddenly wake up one morning and.
I'm trying to give a window into how ridiculously stupid I can be. So that's on the table here. But you sent me a tweet yesterday of some young woman on Twitter who's pretty popular, a Mavs fan, who was so pissed off that Troy Aikman was doing the voiceover for the Mavs hype video to draft Cooper Flagg because, in your estimation and in this young lady's estimation, that Dirk had to be asked and had to have turned them down.
I think Dirk's done.
Well, that's okay because if you're following the Mavs, Mark Aguirre's back. He was there last night for the trade party, and it's like
I think Dirk is intentionally putting some distance between himself and the Mavericks.
I would have to agree,
and that's not good.
No,
like that. he is not Michael Jordan, but he's like the next tier down.
Yeah.
He's like one of the 15 best players in league history. Easily, without question, head and shoulders the best player in your franchise history. MVP of your only championship, and he doesn't want to help you hype up Cooper Flag. It's a bad look.
No,
there's a bad look.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there that we don't know about, right?
Totally. I don't know anything.
But all this does is set up for another wonderful, reunion. The only reunion that Scotty has been spot on about never happening again, and I was wrong about, is Brittany Griner and Kim Mulkey.
Scotty's right about a lot of things.
Scotty is right about a lot of stuff. All right, so that's we just took out the garbage. But I really do believe that the Mavs, it is. Look, it's very exciting to see where they are today as opposed to where they were, 4 or 5 months ago when everybody was really, really frustrated with this organization and everybody was done with the Mavericks. And to see the celebration last night around Cooper Flag, to see folks try to at least be willing, Scotty, to turn the page and put some love behind this team in the Metroplex, I was happy to see that. It's good for Texas. By the way, you know who else won last night? The Spurs.
VJ Edgecombe.
We'll get to VJ in 1 second, but I do want to say I thought the Mavs and the Spurs were big winners last night. I love Dylan Harper, and to get Carter Bryant, Arizona's guy, late in the draft, he is a carbon copy, tailor-made for San Antonio. He is a perfect Spur, and that kid is very, very, very good. I called a bunch of his games last year. He's coming off the bench, but he's still contributing, and he still was that guy that everybody that I worked a game with and asked about. I'm like, hey, he's kind of playing sparingly. What do you think about him? Oh, he's the real deal. And Carter Bryant, we'll see if he is.
Here's my real take. Despite the Rockets trading for Kevin Durant this week, and despite the Mavericks acquiring Cooper Flag, I would not be surprised if the Spurs finish higher than both of them in the West. Would not be surprised. That's a great roster now.
Yeah. Well, the Spurs
they got to live up to it. I know nothing about if this guy can coach.
The Spurs are plus 1,700 to win the Western Conference, so that's better than the Mavs.
I mean,
the Rockets are plus 500.
You've got one of the most exciting young players in the sport, and you've got a excellent young core around him.
Yeah.
And now, like, Dylan Harper gets to walk in there, could start at point guard for most NBA teams. He's going to be with De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
That's scary for the West. That's scary.
No, it is very scary. And you have to believe that, the institution and the culture of the Spurs.
Yep.
You would think, as we've seen no sign of them veering off, like that they will continue. Now, this is a whole new era now, Pop passing the torch.
Yep.
But will the Spurs now be that organization? We've seen them so many years. It's almost like you put your feet up, take a year off, get whatever you need to get, and then boom, you're back with Tim Duncan. Boom, you're back with Wemby. Boom, you're back with Wemby and Dylan Harper.
And unlike the Dallas Mavericks, which franchise has their former stars who love to be around the team? The Spurs.
The Spurs do, for sure. Yes, they do. All right, VJ Edgecombe, okay?
Yes!
I was beyond delighted last night, being from Philadelphia, right? I'm kind of like on hiatus as a Sixers fan, so I can relate to Scotty a little bit because after the years of tanking, and the stories continue to come out with the Sixers, I think, most recently, I just heard, who was it? Oh, Roy Hibbert was an assistant coach with the Sixers during some of those tank years, and he was like, he was saying you couldn't even get Joel Embiid out to practice. You have all these young guys, you're trying to create a culture, create a team, even though you are tanking or doing the process, but these guys aren't showing up and they're not giving effort, and that created, I think, a monster, and winning had become completely like a muscle that was atrophied within the Sixers organization. And I would hope that we're on the backside of that, and a guy like VJ Edgecombe is turning the page when, like, a VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain, like, those are three young, bright stars with great attitudes that are a real reason for Philadelphia 76ers fans to get behind this Sixers team. Now, I don't know what you're going to do with Joel Embiid and Paul George, but maybe you find a way to have them contribute. I don't know, but it's almost impossible to put any stock in that. However, VJ seems to have found a decent landing spot. I guess that's a question for you, Scotty. As a lot of our friends and that are watching this are big Baylor fans, Big 12 fans. How do you think the fit is for VJ with the Sixers?
There's part of me that's more optimistic about him being there than like when we talked about him maybe going to Charlotte or I think there are more dysfunctional teams in the NBA or franchises over the course of history. Obviously, that's another team that just needs their guys to be healthy, right? Same as my issues with the Mavericks. Is like, is Joel Embiid gonna play this season, right? Like I think that's the issue. But like VJ, and they said this on the Paul Biancardi said this to us yesterday. Right?
Yeah.
VJ is a culture setter. VJ Edgecombe is not a guy that's going to come into practice and accept people slacking in practice.
Yeah.
He will dunk on your face if you're slacking in practice, right? Like that's who he is.
No, and that's what Paul said. And Paul was real. He said, he may not be as loud as he was in college
but he
with
will,
guys in the pros, but he will.
But if there's a guy taking defensive plays off in practice, VJ Edgecombe will dunk over their head and embarrass them. Not because he wants to embarrass a teammate, but because he wants people to play. And he wants to play. Like he is a kid that clearly just loves basketball and wants to play.
Yeah.
And so I think that's going to elevate culture. I think what's nice about him, and they said this on the broadcast last night, they're not bringing him in to be the guy, which I think helps.
Yeah.
Like, if he ends up being an all-star, whoa.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's great for Philadelphia. If he ends up being their third leading scorer and a great defensive piece, he's doing what he was drafted to do.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it's a situation where he can succeed. I will say, Scotty B says...
Yeah, I can't see when you pull him up because
I'm gonna throw it up and I'm gonna tell you what he says. Okay. Well, Bear the Truth is giving you a hard time for not having a Sixers hat today. I don't agree with Scotty B.
What does he say?
But I would love it. VJ might be a better player than Cooper Flagg one day.
Oh, I totally could agree with that.
That's an interesting take.
Oh, 1,000%. Dude, if VJ Edgecombe can get his jumper to become consistent with that beautiful stroke he has, yeah, dude, he could be better than Cooper Flagg for sure.
Okay.
Really, because
I love it, Pete. Give the Baylor guy some hype. I love it.
No. I mean, that's the God's honest truth. He shot 39% from three in the Big 12. Now, people around draft time didn't want to talk about this. I mean, I had a front row seat to a call in a lot of games. He dipped like in February and into March.
Yes.
It's like that three-point shooting fell off a cliff.
Right.
But he was white hot for a while, and he certainly showed the ability that, look, my stroke is here. And King McClure told me this. Fran Fraschilla told me this. Somebody else told me this. Asking about VJ as a shooter, and I've shared this here before. When you look at his stroke at the free throw line and you look at his free throw shooting percentage, it's very clear that this is somebody who has the makeup and the bones and the work ethic to become a very good shooter.
Yeah, it's not like you're correcting mechanics to get him to shoot well. It's just a get in the gym and practice against competition thing.
Yeah, I mean, the Sixers, we're notorious for that, though. You can maybe come play for us. We'll change your mechanics and you'll never play again. Like the poor kid from Washington. It's just that, by the way, on a night where there's so much celebration around the draft, Stephen A. Smith certainly did a good enough job to wear my boy Bob Myers out. I mean, Bob Myers is worn out with Stephen A. I can tell you that.
I think most people are at some point.
I think it's but this is great because guess what? I think he's about to go on. He takes his little Stephen A's aware. I think he's aware that it's time for him this is where he breaks. Coming up here in a little bit. Because, we have the market is maybe oversaturated with Stephen A. right now. If you're if you're a Hoops fan. But I will say, I watched the ABC coverage. There was ABC and ESPN. I watched ABC instead of ESPN. And it was a lot of fun. And you could tell Myers and Stephen A., they go back and forth. They get a kick out of each other. I definitely think, Bob Myers said it out loud last night while he was arguing with Stephen A. Smith. I got to be better than this. He literally said that. And then Stephen A. was like, oh, no, that's why you always ask to sit with me. Come on, you love this. So, there was a little taken behind the curtain there. But, the draft was a lot of fun. More draft coverage tonight. Best guy on the board, I can tell you right now with my own eyes, Max Reynaud was not drafted last night. Stanford guy. Played 4 years at Stanford. That's basically kryptonite to NBA organizations and scouts. Somebody who played 4 years in college. The one guy, poor Wolf didn't get picked. The Michigan kid. I think he played at Yale and then transferred to Michigan. He was in the green room. He went 27th. I know Reynaud was in the green room too. He did not go. Looking forward to him getting picked early today. But yeah, the draft rolls on, and again, college football, it never goes away. And I've told you guys this once. I'll tell you again, and I'll tell you a third time when we're joined by Shehan here after this break. But this was the most important story this offseason about college football, and it was authored by Shahan Jeyarajah. He is on the other side of this break. He is with CBS Sports, and we are presented by Slovatrics. The Pete Sousa Show comes back after this short break. We're talking college football. Texas Tech, is it boom or bust? We'll go into it.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Combine that with OrganicHemp.com's top quality CBD for ultimate balance. Start your healing journey today at GlobalHealing.com and OrganicHemp.com. Unlock a world of convenience with Mullybox, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. Each box is tailored to your tastes. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. At Tusane's, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Committed to excellence, we adopt a user-centric approach guided by ergonomics and medical science. With a team of seasoned professionals in R&D, design, and manufacturing, we prioritize quality across our entire product line. Visit Tusanes.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com. BizChair.com. Your one-stop shop for premium commercial furniture that blends quality with affordability. From ergonomic office chairs to durable restaurant seating, we cater to diverse industries including corporate, medical, hospitality, and education. With over 20 years of experience, we offer fast shipping, exceptional customer support, and furniture solutions that stand up to high-traffic environment. Elevate your space with BizChair's vast selection of stylish, reliable, and cost-effective furniture. Visit us today at BizChair.com to transform your business. At Mitzi, we believe the right light can transform any space. Born from a third-generation lighting family, we craft beautifully designed, premium lighting that's made to be affordable. Inspired by Grandma Mitzi's eclectic style, we're on a mission to make high-quality lighting accessible to all. Whether you're updating your space or adding a unique fixture, Mitzi has the perfect design for you. Beautiful, well-made lighting without the high price tag. Discover your perfect light at Mitzi.com. That's MITZI.com. Mitzi. Founded in 1910, Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Made to the highest standards, our products won't let you down. We give you the confidence to get out there and explore. Inspired by the past, devoted to the present, and built to inspire a multi-generational future, Samsonite is here to elevate your journey. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. The grinder mentality that Randy and Brent Habert built into 44 Pro runs deep within our team. Every member shares a passion for the craft, the game, and most importantly, the player. When you step onto the field with a 44 Pro custom glove, you'll feel the difference. It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro. Welcome to Kitbag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, we've got your team's colors running through our veins. From official replica kits to custom player prints of your favorite stars like Ronaldo, Messi, and Kane, Kitbag is your one-stop shop for all things football. Powered by Fanatics, we deliver to over 180 countries, ensuring you get the gear you need fast. For true football passion, think Kitbag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's KITBAG.com. Kitbag.
There is the man right there, Shahan Jeyarajah. He has authored the most important story of the college football offseason for CBS Sports. West Texas boom, inside Texas Tech's bold, all-in bet on NIL and the billionaire landman responsible. Shehan, you done did it again, man. Amazing work.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I got to say, I'm just impressed that people read 5,000 words of story. I remember turning it into my editor and being like, I really hope he doesn't make me cut this down. But I'm so honored by the way that people have responded to it.
Yeah, it's old school journalism at its best, and it's up on CBSSports.com, which is great. There's no paywall. I mean, there's no nonsense. You get right into it and get into the bones of the story like this. My first question for you, this stuff has been going on in the shadows for so long, right? Everything that now is out front with NIL and the payment of players. And it's been such a successful marketing boom for Texas Tech over the past 2 years, especially this year, which you've chronicled in your story. The academics around Texas Tech, how do they feel about this? Did you get any reaction of any of the old school people who have, scholar in their bones? Or how do they feel about this?
Well, I think that, look, there's always an understanding that money is zero sum, right? Where if money's going to one place, it's not going somewhere else. But I think that there's an understanding across the university that, this is an important part of our university from a marketing perspective, right? I mean, when you think about Texas Tech, the times that you see them most, if you aren't in this state, are when a softball player absolutely blows up, whenever a football team is featured on CBSSports.com. And the other thing as well is that when you talk about the amount of money that's been handed out as part of this process, it's coming from private donors, and it's especially coming from Cody Campbell, from John Sellers over at Double Eagle Energy Holdings, from Gary Peterson is another key donor for them, Dusty Womble. So it's not necessarily like this money is being taken from staff salaries on the academic side to go to the athletic department. But I think that, there's always a little bit of that tension, but there's an understanding that, this is just part of the game.
You did such a great job, and part of the reason you were able to show off your skill set and your journalism bones is because you were granted the access. And I think that's something, I did PR in the NBA for years, and I've been around PR guys who are amazing, and I've been around PR guys who they know one word and it's no. What was it like for you to get that access granted to you, and how did it affect the way that you cover Texas Tech in this story?
Well, I texted one of my friends in the industry. I feel like it's a cheat code getting Joey McGuire, who's tremendous with access, with Matt Dowdy, the communications guy over at Texas Tech, who is just unbelievable. One of the best in the entire industry. And look, I think that Texas Tech being where it is, what it is, they're always going to be a bit more receptive to certainly people coming out and covering them. But the level of access that I got was just unbelievable. They brought me into their facility. They showed me around the new Womble Football Center, which, by the way, it's called the Football Resort for a reason. It is unbelievable. I also got to talk to essentially any person that I asked for. I asked for JT Toppin. It's mostly a football story, but you know what? They found time for me to talk to JT Toppin. I talked to David Bailey, who just got there, right? I mean, you think about the way that a lot of these other programs handle, especially their high-powered newcomers. There's sort of this, there's almost a cooling off period, right? We got to make sure that they don't say anything that we don't want them to say. I mean, just, again, a guy that I talked to was Romello Height, who's somebody who landed this spring, and he's a little bit of a, he is a talker, man. He is kind of willing to say what's on his mind. But there's also this understanding of, I'm coming to West Texas. I'm coming to Texas Tech because I want to understand what's happening there. And I've gotten opportunities where I've gotten maybe to interview a player or two, a coach or two. But the reason I was able to get such a comprehensive understanding of this place and of this city is because I talked to a lot of people who frankly didn't even make the story.
Yeah, that's my question for you, because I wanted to know, you had done such a great job, casting this wide net. How many people did you talk to for this story?
Probably, when you talk about formalized interviews, probably 12 or so. And when you talk about talking to anybody, 20 people at least. It was a lot of people. That's something that I think is a lot of value about getting to be on the ground, right? You get to go between people's offices and just have short conversations with them. You get to talk to the barista at the coffee shop. You get to talk to the comms guy at the city of Lubbock. And that's, again, when you're doing it remotely, those are each individual interviews you have to set up. It's a much longer process. So the fact that they were so welcoming, so able with their time. I mean, I got 9 interviews at Texas Tech in one day, which is just crazy stuff. I mean, it was a very busy day, I will say that. But I think that it just gives you so much more understanding. And I think, again, when you get these little interactions, and I mean, I talk about getting interviews, I was never told that an interview had to end. Like, I spoke to some of these people for 45 minutes just about themselves and about them as people and their stories. And again, maybe 4 minutes of it made the article as quotes, but the other 40 minutes was so critical to just me understanding how to write this piece.
How about some of the reaction? Because again, you have relationships all over college football. What have you heard from some other big, let's say, big dogs like Texas A&M? You're a Baylor grad. I mean, folks reaching out to you about, hey, like, we're doing it this way over here. How did other schools, other fan bases, and other members of athletic departments respond to this story?
Well, first of all, I mean, the reception has been so tremendous. I've gotten so many messages from people talking about how much they love the story, and that's really cool for me. But it's interesting, right? I think that one of the reasons I wanted to write this story, and one of the reasons I wrote it the way that I did, is there is this belief, I think, to an extent, that Texas Tech just threw out the most money and that's the only thing they did. That's the whole story, right? Like that's all there is to it. And so I think for me to have the chance to go inside and say, no, they started scouting guys who might enter the portal in July. They had all this work done. They were ready. It wasn't really a story just about money and cap. It was also a story of preparation. And I think that that's what has impressed people the most, is that level of preparation. I mean, James Blanchard, their general manager, who really spearheaded those efforts, I mean, he was identified by Notre Dame and USC as a guy who could potentially get ahead of the curve from that perspective. And so I think that ultimately, like, this is going to be a model, not necessarily just the money being thrown around, but the level of preparation that it requires. And also, I think, one thing that I heard repeatedly from Texas Tech was, look, Cody Campbell, their big billionaire donor, John Sellers, all these guys that I mentioned, they allow these guys to do their jobs. I mean, Joey McGuire is a major college football coach, but he lets James Blanchard handle the personnel side of things and doesn't overstep. So I think that's something that really is transferable when you start talking about bring it to other schools.
You mentioned Cody Campbell, and Scotty, we're going to turn it over to him in a sec. He's got some questions for you, but he is the architect of this blueprint. It's and it comes from a real pure place. His whole family, as you document in the story, goes back. I think his grandfather was in the first class to graduate, or the first class at Texas Tech in 1925. He himself played football there. What is the upshot for him? Is it just winning? Is it just like all this money he's putting into it? Does he just want to see Texas Tech in their first Big 12 title game, or possibly in the college football playoff, or a college football title? Is that the return for him?
Well, and that's a great question, and it's one that I asked a lot of people, because there are donors who give a lot of money, but I've never seen a donor as intrinsically tied to the program. I mean, maybe the closest you get is a Tillman Fertitta at Houston, but this is even, I think, a level more than that. And so they decided to make him chair of their board of regents as well. And so, when I look back, like you said, all these family relationships are a big part of it. I think the relationship to West Texas, wanting to elevate really just the entire region, not just the university, plays a role as well. But I think that he also saw a moment that replicated in some ways his business career. For people who don't know, Cody Campbell and John Sellers, they do not come from oil money. They do not come from the oil industry, despite being from West Texas. They went out and basically bought up small parcels of land to sell to bigger companies for mineral rights, right? And so they were very much on the ground. They were very much grinding, driving between places, and they took advantage of timing and opportunity. And I think for Cody Campbell, more than, look, everybody obviously wants the opportunity to help elevate their university and their athletic department. But I think for him, he saw that piece of opportunity, the thing that might not exist for generations after this, and said, let's try to maximize this individual moment. And a return for this is, yes, success on the field, success, reaching championship level, hopefully going to the college football playoff, but it's also a revitalization of the community, of the athletic department, revitalization of the city of Lubbock, more attention paid. And frankly, one marker of success of this is the fact that a journalist from Dallas went out and wrote a story for CBSSports.com.
Scotty, go ahead. What do you got?
Let me make Shehan the big face there. There's my guy. Hey,
Shahan, this had everything I want in a story. It was good football. I love Joey McGuire. You even wrote about some great top 50 Texas Monthly barbecue. So I would just, anybody who hasn't read this story yet, you got to check it out. I just want to break it down to let's just put it simply. And you quoted Joey McGuire about this just a little bit in the story. What happens if after this offseason, Texas Tech finishes 4th in the Big 12? Like, how does Lubbock and all of these people within the athletic department and even fans around that athletic department, how do they respond if all of this money and excitement and portal success leads to another disappointing finish for them?
Well, and I had a lot of people in my replies or in messages be like, well, none of this matters. They can throw all the money they want. They're still not going to win anything. And like, here's the thing. I never in the story said that this plan is going to work, right? Like they know the risks of this moment and kind of have embraced them in a lot of ways. You know, it's interesting, right? I mean, I mentioned this is potentially a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity because of the rules changing on July 1st. They're not going to be able to throw around unlimited money to the same extent, the way that they've been able to, the past couple of months. So if this doesn't work, I mean, you're kind of back to the drawing board in some ways, right? Like one thing that I heard repeatedly is Joey McGuire felt like, you know what, we can be, we can't be negatively recruited for our facilities because they're astonishing. We can't be negatively recruited for our coaching staff because we've done a really good job. We can't be negatively recruited for the city of Lubbock because people come here and realize what it has here. What we can be negatively recruited for is our lack of success. We haven't been on that biggest stage. And you look over the past 15 years or so, every single other power conference school in Texas has been on that stage. Baylor, TCU, they've been in playoff races. Texas, of course. Texas A&M had Johnny Manziel. They've been to an Orange Bowl. Houston even, right? I mean, you look at some of the teams that they've had. Texas Tech is the lone exception. And so if this doesn't work, well, they feel like, well, we don't have much choice but to try to make it happen because we have been the program that's been left behind in so many ways. We can't just sit on our laurels and hope that things improve.
And then I had one more for you because I think this is important to you, and I know it's important to me. You are kind of cutting against the grain here. You are writing a long-form story that took you a long time to research and to do these interviews. And I know how hard you work to write and edit and edit and edit and trim and trim and edit and edit. I know how that process goes. And we're in an era of guys like me and Pete winging it for an hour, every weekday morning.
And winging it?
Sometimes winging it, often winging it, often insightful, but winging it. But you are, Shehan, I mean, I put it in the headline here, like this is old school, good stuff, feature story journalism in a world which seems, at least monetarily, or at least in what gets social media buzz, typically to be devaluing that, and probably has been for like 15, 20 years, right? Even since you and I were in school. What would be your hopes, for like sports media moving forward in light of I guess the reaction you've received to the story, and B, for yourself, dude, like we've been friends a long time. Like this is what I want you doing forever. In addition to Pete and I both think you need to be on TV, but like, how do you view the media landscape right now, and how does this story play into that? And what are your hopes for the future?
Well, I mean, look, I'm not going to be mad if it leads to a bigger check over at CBS Sports. I'll tell you that much. But I do think that, this is probably a whole podcast that we could do separately, but like
we can.
I look at the state of journalism right now, right? And especially, I mean, frankly, right, we've got these, AI, all this sort of stuff, right? Like there's all this conversation about the idea of how, well, you can just replace some of this basic writing with stuff like that, right? I think that what I hoped going in, and what I think hopefully has been borne out in a lot of ways, is that my job and jobs like mine are not, I don't think, being made irrelevant. I think that they're changing. I think that it's going to be more important than ever in this new era to write stories that are human, because we can, the content type thing, right? Like that's going to be the easiest thing in some ways to replace, like making lists and all this sort of stuff. You can't replicate human connection and human understanding through stuff like, the sort of quick turn stuff that we've got. And I mean, I really want to emphasize this. Like, I made one trip to Lubbock for this story. This story, in a lot of ways, has been years in the making. It's been years of building relationships at Texas Tech. It's been years of stopping by and understanding that place. It's been years of getting to know Joey McGuire, understand what makes him tick, get ideas around him, right? Like, this is a long-term process, not just from the perspective of actually writing the piece, which, by the way, it came together way quicker in my head than you could ever imagine. I wrote it basically in one evening, which is a whole other conversation. But I think that, again, the legwork and the understanding that I needed to be able to do this piece well is something that only could have happened because I've covered the Big 12 in the state of Texas for 10 years. And so that's my plea to other writers and journalists, but also to other editors, is make sure and focus on the humanity in the story. I think that, I mentioned AI and stuff like that. I think gambling also, right? Like, I think that that's something that is dehumanizing sports in some ways. And people talk about stuff like, coverage of the NBA finals and stuff like that. I think that there's such little focus on legend building and myth making. And I hope that in a small way, my piece kind of helps show there truly is an appetite for it.
No, it's like an old school. It really is like a throwback piece to something that, as a kid, I grew up reading, in Sports Illustrated, that you just you devoured and you couldn't wait to get to it. You just done such a tremendous job. Last question for you, and it's about Joey McGuire, because the guy is the real deal. And you really root for him, right? And this article just shows, I love how you took us off the field with, the breakfasts on Wednesdays, and every night he's out at the steakhouse. Every time he turns around, another possible transfer or recruit comes in. What was he like when you were around him for this story? Like, being able to be around him like that, like blow by blow, his energy level, it seems like it's unparalleled. The guy's always going.
No, he 100% is. And I write it in the story a little bit, but Joey McGuire, in all of the best ways, is a high school coach at heart. He is somebody who understands his place in the community. He is somebody who understands his role to players. He's somebody who understands also, by the way, what the media can help do for him. And I think that, again, he is somebody who understands that his job is really so much bigger than being a football coach. And, there are places where that's a little different, right? But I think at Texas Tech, you are the mayor of Lubbock. You're the governor of West Texas in so many ways when you're the head football coach at Texas Tech. And he has been so visible and vocal in the community and a cheerleader for the community as well. For me, again, he is as laid back, as down to earth a guy as you're ever going to find. Again, you go into some people's offices, and actually James Blanchard kind of had a great quote about this that I think made the story, where he was kind of like, so many guys are thinking about elevating constantly, right? That's kind of the idea of it, right? Elevate, elevate, elevate. But I think that because of him, he was at Cedar Hill for 14 years as a head coach. He had only coached at 3 places in his life before it, right? He had coached at Crowley High School, where he went. He coached at Cedar Hill. He coached at Baylor as an assistant coach and went to Texas Tech. I think he understands in so many ways what he has, and ultimately it made sense for him, to be at Texas Tech. And I think that he's really embodied so much of what that community needed.
All right, one more question for you. I lied. What's the number one thing you left out of the story that was painful for you, that you wanted to get in there, where the word count finally caught up to you?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things that I wish that I could have delved deeper into. I think that one thing was just the level. I've spoke so much about football, but this investment obviously has gone so much further than that. I think that is really something that maybe got lost a little bit in the process. But softball, we've talked about so much, basketball, there's so much happening right now. And the other thing too that I'll talk about is I really hardly got into the state of the facilities, right? Just incredible facilities out there. I could have written a whole story about just how incredible those facilities were. So again, as a writer on the national scene, you probably have one shot at this. You probably aren't going to get to write another 5,000 word story about Texas Tech for another decade. I really wanted to try to get it, but I got great advice from Lee Jenkins, the old Sports Illustrated writer, when I went to a conference a while back. You know what? You should only use 10% of what you have, and the other 90% might be incredible, but find the best 10%, and hopefully I did that.
You did it, and thank God the part about you eating barbecue with your hands was part of that 10%, because I think everyone that's been in a traffic jam with barbecue without a fork can relate, dude. And I love that about you, your ability to admit that. My fiance can get off my ass finally now.
I love it. Well, even eating with my hands, it was incredible stuff.
Shahan Jeyarajah, CBSSports.com. The article is up there. You got to check it out. Shahan, thank you so much for spending time with us, dude. We look forward to talking to you more as we ramp up here towards football season. A job well done.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, we'll step aside and be right back talking a little bit more NBA draft. Shahan Jeyarajah, you guys got to check that story out. Everybody else is. So if you're into college football and you want to know exactly what's going on with the landscape of college football and find out how it's being done and done well, check out the story. We'll be right back. Slovacics, thank you so much for presenting the Pete Sousa Show.
For 75 years, Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. No gimmicks, just durable, well-designed bottles built to last. Join us on our mission to amplify life, not complicate it. Because at Nalgene, what goes into our bottles matters as much as the adventures they fuel. Explore more at nalgene.com. That's NALGENE.com. Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Since 2003, we've been connecting buyers and sellers, providing access to sold-out events at prices lower than most secondary market options. Whether it's sports, theater, or concerts, our massive nationwide network ensures you get the tickets you want, guaranteed. For the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. That's TICKETLIQUIDATOR.com. Ticket Liquidator.
I'm Hunter, the founder of Hello Cake, and today we're digging into ED meds. The number one thing we hear is that guys are sick of waiting for ED meds to kick in. Traditional ED meds take about an hour to kick in as they have to go through your digestive system, where Hello Cake's ED medication dissolves under your tongue and works in about 15 minutes. That's about 3 times faster than traditional ED medication. Curious about ED meds? Go to hellocake.com.
InMotion is more than just a name. It's a legacy of innovation. From supplying electric vehicle parts like motors and inverters since the 1960s to creating cutting-edge electric scooters, hoverboards, and unicycles, InMotion is shaping the future of mobility. Whether you're looking for industrial power solutions or accessible personal transport, InMotion has you covered. Explore our products and experience the future of movement. Visit store.inmotionworld.com today.
Is your Mac running slow? Mac Booster 8 is your all-in-one solution to clean up 20 types of junk files, remove malware and viruses, and protect your device. It also optimizes your Mac's hard disk, fixes disk permission issues, and cleans memory, all to boost your Mac's performance to the max. Get your Mac running like new again with Mac Booster 8. Visit macboost.net today.
Finding a sleep sack that my baby likes has been a struggle. The sleep sack from Joy is a major upgrade.
It's all natural eucalyptus, which is breathable and hypoallergenic, which is really great for your baby's sensitive skin.
And it's Movie Climatech, which regulates your baby's temperature.
You can also get Joy's crib sheets, which are made of the same super soft material.
Joy gave my baby comfort
and gave me peace of mind.
At Mapiful, we believe in celebrating your journey, past, present, and future. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence, elevate creativity, and honor what matters most. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mapiful.com and start celebrating your story today.
Maud Lily is your go-to for stylish and affordable fashion that fits your life. Whether you're looking for the perfect swimsuit for a beach day, A chic dress for a night out or cozy tops for everyday wear, Maud Lily has it all. Their extensive collection of swimwear, including bikinis, tankinis, and one-pieces, always keeps you on trend, while their dresses and tops come in flattering styles for every occasion. Visit maudlily.com today.
Well, the Pete Sousa Show rolls on. The NBA draft rolls on tonight. Whichever team gets Max Reynaud, you have won the second round. Quick news here. The Pete Sousa Show, of course, presented by Slovacics. Thanks so much to Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers. Of course, Socorro Family Ford. Crawford Austin Properties. I had lunch yesterday with Gordon Harriman of Crawford Austin Properties. They're still booming away, speaking of Landman. Caitlin Clark. Some quick news just came across the wire. Breaking news, if you want to call it that. She's going to miss the Fever's game tonight against the Los Angeles Sparks. That's a home game for the Fever after their road trip where I think they went 2-2. Clark right now is dealing with a left groin issue. Remember, she missed all that time with a left quad injury. This comes on the heels of the Fever waiving DeWanna Bonner, much for the reason because DeWanna Bonner wanted to get waived. There is so much stink out there on the internet and social media as to why DeWanna Bonner did not fit in with the Fever. And there's just wild theories out there. And there's got to be some reason, though, as to why she only played 9 games, because I sat here and talked about how exciting it was going to be that Caitlin Clark finally had help. You know, she's got Lexi Hall. She's got Sophie Cunningham. And, of course, most importantly in the offseason, one of those acquisitions we were just talking about. But the biggest one was DeWanna Bonner, and she didn't play. Or she played 9 games, and now she's gone. So there's a lot going on there in Indiana. I do think I heard it was Debbie Antonelli. She was being interviewed by Chris Chalmers, who's filling in for Mad Dog on Sirius XM Radio. But he asked the question that I wanted to ask everybody, and I want to ask Caitlin Clark, how you doing? Like, really, like, I hope she's doing all right, because, and I know we should be worried about everybody else, don't get me wrong, but there's so much, like, pressure on her, I feel like. And I know she's really injured. By the way, she hasn't missed a game in college or in her first year in the WNBA. She had not missed a game, right? And so over a week ago, she came back from that injury, that left quad injury. But this is just a different type of season for Caitlin Clark, I think, as she continues to integrate as a pro. But there's a lot going on, and, like, you know, I would hope she's doing okay, because if every time I turned around or went outside, people were talking about me, or, you know, now DeWanna Bonner's getting waived, and now it's like, what did Caitlin Clark have to do with this? Why don't they get along on the Fever? Like, is it that everybody's too heterosexual? Like, it's the theories out there are crazy. So I just hope Caitlin Clark is doing great, because she is something like I probably will keep an eye on that Sparks game tonight because I love the WNBA, but I won't be watching it with the razor-like focus that I would have been if Caitlin Clark is playing, because she's like Pistol Pete, and I don't want to miss her playing because I miss Pistol Pete, right? I didn't get a chance. I wasn't really alive or kicking there. All right, one last thing we want to talk about with VJ Edgecombe and Baylor. Scotty, the statistic is unbelievable. How many years in a row? The past 9 years at top, or is it the past? I have it here. The statistic is a top 16 pick for how many years in a row?
5, I think.
5 years in a row. I think it's more than that, dude.
21. Yeah, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Yeah, 5 years.
5 years in a row we've had a top 16 pick. Is that right?
Yeah.
Baylor has. Yeah. Nobody else in the country.
No. Top 19.
Top 19.
Jacoby Walter last year went 19.
He did?
Yeah.
I know they're really happy.
But the stat was not that it was 5 years in a row. It's that Baylor is the only program 5 years in a row to have a top 19 pick in the NBA draft.
So what do you think that says about Baylor? By the way, it's not like our friends at BYU try to say like it's not over, right? I mean, VJ just went 3.
Tunde is going to make that streak go up, by the way.
Tunde is
he will go top 19 easy. He might be top 10.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I mean, like, this is gonna keep happening. Folks.
Yes.
I mean, and you know what was interesting last night? I know you were kind of busy moving and grooving, but boy, those college coaches, they were all there. I mean, they know how to recruit. Scott Drew,
right?
Scott, by the way, wasn't as shameless as some of the other coaches who I won't mention, but like when their guy got drafted, they were like up and like, okay, when am I going to be on camera? Because I need my other recruits to see me.
Well, that's why we love Scott Drew. It's not about him.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, like he's a humble guy. He really is.
Yeah. Like I'll say one. I love Porter Mosier, but he was like so pumped, dude. He was so pumped, and
that tracks with what we all know about his character too.
What do you mean?
Nothing. I don't mean anything.
Oh, he's a great character. Porter Mosier's the man, but he is like, he can be a little bombastic, and no, I love that dude. He's the number one reason I'm pissed that Oklahoma is no longer in the Big 12. But a big night for the Big 12 last night. By the way, 3 first-round picks: Carter Bryant, Igor Demon, and of course VJ Edgecombe. But so, what do you think that says about Baylor? This great success, and I know you were getting in a Twitter battle.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll be a little more explicit. We bring up this topic at the end because Mike, who's a good friend of ours, a guy that watches the show just about every day, we love you, Mike. He asked the question.
Efficient lending, by the way. Boom. Trying to get a house? Efficient
lending.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mike, that's our guy. Here, Mike asked, and Mike and I had this conversation last week up here. He was up here actually recording a podcast with us at Rogue. He and I sat down and had this conversation of, are we defining success for Baylor basketball by draft picks or by wins and championships? And he asked this question on Twitter this morning because I had some retweets of celebrating VJ, going number 3 overall, and Scott Drew had a tweet about the top 19 picks thing, right? Okay. The answer is you have to do both.
Thank you, Scotty.
That's the answer.
Yes.
You will not continue to get the elite talent to compete for championships if you are not putting players in the NBA.
That's it.
Because let's be honest, if you're 17 and you're trying to decide where to go to play college basketball, I'm sure winning a championship's important. I'm sure that means a lot to a lot of those guys. But what's more important, even with NIL, get me to the league.
Yeah.
That's especially since the one and done rule was implemented and you can't be LeBron James and jump straight from high school anymore. It is so important. Now, what Scott Drew with this next season's roster has done is a slight adjustment in that we still have Tunde Yesufu. He'll be a one and done. He'll probably be a top 10 pick next year. That's not buzz. That's just, Paul Biancardi's told us that, right? He's legit. But he also got Andre Iguodala second. What you see in both of those guys is one is going to be a one and done, probably a good NBA player. That's a given. Just needs to have a good year at Baylor. One, I think, needs a good 3 years at Baylor.
Yeah.
And then could probably also be an NBA player. I think there's some criticism from people like Mike and others who would say, man, Baylor's gone all in on these one and dones, and we haven't gotten out of the second round since we won a national championship. Because that national championship team, it was a lot of transfers and guys who'd been there a long time. Davion Mitchell, Jared Butler, like those guys transferred in, developed a couple years, right? That wasn't a one-and-done team. Davion Mitchell, though, lottery pick. Good for Baylor basketball. Just want to say that again. But I think this roster he's brought in for this season is a mix of both.
Yes.
Right? It's let's keep getting the guys who are going to be lottery picks.
Even next year's recruiting class, Monty Williams' kid, the same deal.
Bingo. Bingo.
He's a 4-star, I think, but he still is along the lines of a guy who is planning on, or at least in the plan to, stick around.
And I'll just tell you, some of this frustration with one and dones, Yves Missi was not supposed to be a one and done.
No.
He was considered a project.
He's too goddamn good.
Right. No, he was a project and then played a season at Baylor. And by the end of it, we're like, that guy's ready for the NBA. Sure enough, he's an NBA all-rookie this past season. Like that was Scott Drew development plus freaky athletic talent leads to.
There was all kinds of stuff that was like, first of all, the draft was too good. So even scouts were telling me that like he needs to sit this year out. Because he won't go that high in the draft. Well, he went high, and he's been super effective.
Scotty B just pointed out this is another good example. Jeremy Sohan wasn't supposed to be a one and done. But came to Baylor, was amazing, obviously has physical traits.
I'll say this is not directed at Mike. This is directed at anybody, and I think so often this happens to college sports fans, myself included. you got to know. It's just like Shehan was saying about Joey McGuire. Like, you got to know who you are. Like, without Scott Drew, Baylor is a bump on the road in between Dallas and Austin as far as the Big 12 is concerned.
That's correct.
That's the truth. Like, so with Scott Drew, you have this prolific roster of successful recruits that have come in and out and have been first-round picks. Like, it's sort of similar to like John Calipari, except for we're not hopping in bed with somebody who you would consider like a slick used car salesman.
Yeah.
Like Scott Drew's the man, and he's like, you know, his mission is making these guys better. Not the Calsism, but you get what I'm saying.
Well, and did you see what he posted this week? He posted a photo this week, and this is why I love Baylor basketball, and I'm going to keep rooting for Baylor basketball, even if there's no more championships. I want more championships, even if there's no more. He posted a photo this week of a big group huddled up center court praying together, and half of them were alumni that have come back to play with these guys. Yves Misi was there. Lace Darius Dunn was there. So Torian Prince was there. So NBA players, Big 12
Jacoby
record
was
holders.
there. Did you say Jacoby Walter?
Yeah, he was there. Big 12 record holders, NBA players from all eras of Scott Drew, even 15 years back, come back to campus to help the current guys.
Yeah.
That's special, man. I mean, I know like your big name alum come back at a lot of schools. Patrick Mahomes is very involved in Texas Tech, right? But it's not often they come back, play basketball games together, and pray together. And that's not for everybody. But if you're a Baylor fan, I don't know what more you can ask for.
No, really. So you have the mission, and you're still trying to win titles. I mean, that's
and still in the hunt for titles. By the way, this isn't like we've had all these one and dones and have finished like bottom of the barrel.
Yeah,
it's like yes, last year's team was disappointing. Like I had higher expectations for that team too, but like Baylor's gonna be a top 25 team right towards the beginning of the season again this year. Like, you know, the program is fine.
Well, and the makeup is different in a sense where, you know, how great will it be that as Baylor continues to identify who they are and what they can do, that you have a couple of these super sexy, you know, top 5 guys like a Tunde that come to your school.
Right.
And then also you've got a bunch of guys who are stable as far as like being planted in Waco and will stick around and develop and win at the same time. It's a perfect formula. So I gotta believe.
And I'm just gonna tell you, like, if we're being picky about how Scott Drew's doing it, I'd rather be Baylor right now than Kansas. That's a hot take. But I like where Baylor's at as a program better than that. Like I feel like Kansas is regressing. I'd rather be at Baylor right now.
I pumped the brakes on that last.
That's okay. You have a more unbiased perspective. I'll give you that, right? But like that's me. I'd rather have Scott Drew than Bill Self. I'd rather be Baylor than most people right now.
Okay.
Most people.
All right.
I mean, yeah, it's remarkable. So.
All right, we're going to continue this remarkable run tomorrow. Scotty closing the show with a big take, as I opened one with a big take. I think the Mavs are in pretty good shape. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. One more night of the NBA draft. We are looking forward to spending Friday with you. In the meantime, like, subscribe. Thank you guys so much. 45,000 subscribers. Yeah, we're just going to keep it rolling, and appreciate you guys so much. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you so much to Shahan Jeyarajah. Check out his article about Texas Tech on CBSSports.com. It's really, really good. We'll see you tomorrow.
It's the Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
Sports.
We are Rogue Media Sports.